My desire is to show that it is the greatest book ever written and to explain the first 5 books. So this is the School of Public Policy, and they told me applying this to America and to modern life. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you as many lessons from Exodus, just Exodus, but I will give you one from Genesis because it's relevant to a controversy that took place here at Pepperdine, and that was with regard to Christopher Columbus's statue. And I will tell you, how do I form my opinion on statues of Confederate soldiers or on judging, Winston Churchill, the Scott Kelly, the astronaut? He tweeted out, as the great 20th century leader Winston Churchill said, in Victory, Show Magnanimity, he was trying to unite Americans with a sweet tweet. He was so blasted by leftists for quoting Churchill and saying he was one of the great men of the 20th century that he tweeted immediately afterwards, "I am so sorry, I did not know all about his racism, and now I will study what a racist Churchill was." Nobody who lived before the left is a good human being. There are no good human beings. It's an amazing thing. Well, maybe Lenin, but aside from that, there are no good. It is an Übermensch philosophy of life. We are morally superior to all those who lived before us. I'll tell you exactly how I approach past figures, and it is 100% taught to me by the Bible. It's the only book, the only lesson I'm going to give to you that isn't from Exodus, but it's relevant, very relevant, so I'm using it. Noah is saved by God. The only person saved is Noah and his family. Why is Noah saved? Because now here is I'm going to directly translate from the Hebrew. Because he was a simple, good man or righteous man in his generations. When I was in 3rd grade and learned this, I learned that in the Talmud, the rabbinic exegesis on the Bible and Jewish law and philosophy, they asked a very good question. By the way, this is how I learned to read texts. I do it to this day. When I read an internet article, I do it. Why does it say this when it could have said this? It is a brilliant way to study text. So the question was asked by the rabbis of the Talmud, why does it say Noah was a righteous man in his generations? Why doesn't it just say he was a righteous man? God saved him because he was a righteous man. And the answer to me is obvious, because in later generations, he wouldn't have been such a great guy. But you don't judge people by later generations. You judge them in their generation. That's what I just told you is called wisdom, not because I said it. I got it from something else. But there is no wisdom in our secular university world. So they don't know this. They think you judge everybody who lived before you by the exact standards of your day, but then nobody passes. There were no good people. Only they are the enlightened. So some arrogant kid at Yale is morally superior to Churchill. Get it? Churchill only saved the Western world from Hitler, which is remarkable for a racist. I guess, why didn't he like that racist? If he was a racist, why wasn't he pro-Hitler? But this is how people don't get wise, because they don't have an answer to the question. I just read a biography of Christopher Columbus, did a lot of awful things. Right, that's true. In his day, was he awfuler than others? I don't think so. And he made it possible for human rights to come to the Western Hemisphere. It's not, he didn't do it intentionally, but as a result of him, it happened. And by the way, just to be clear, there's a statue of Peter Stuyvesant up in Manhattan. Peter Stuyvesant, the first mayor or governor of New Amsterdam, as it was called. The guy everybody knows, everyone knows. I even knew it as a kid. He was an anti-Semite. I don't want a statue taken down. He was the first governor of Manhattan. He deserves a statue. If you want to learn that he was an anti-Semite, I listened to Wagner's music. Wagner was a racist anti-Semite. His music brings me to tears. I can separate Wagner and his music. Should we burn Wagner? Why don't we stop playing Wagner? If we're going to take down Christopher Columbus, we got to take down Wagner. How could the LA Philharmonic play a racist? Hitler loved Wagner for his racism. But what I've just asked is so many light years in wisdom ahead of where they all are, because they don't know anything. They are the know-nothings. And they know nothing in large measure because they don't know the Bible. That's just the way it is. Lincoln very rarely went to church. He had one book on his nightstand his whole life, the Bible. That's how you raised kids, the moral lessons of the Bible. Okay, so when Genesis comes out, I hope you'll have me back.